11 Now Streaming Studio. I'm Madison Pitsch, and I'm joined by Jared Minary from Crime Stoppers. Jared, how are you?
Doing okay.
Good. It's been a while since we've been here together.
Yeah, I was here a couple weeks ago, but you weren't.
I promise I'm not avoiding you. On purpose, at least.
I'm not sure I believe that yet. We'll see how the rest of the year goes here.
Yeah, we will see. We got a couple of things to talk about today, Jared. Do you want to just go ahead and jump into it?
Sure. We had a suspicious person over at the residence in the area of 73rd and Rokeby Road. This video captures this guy kind of walking around behind this house. Basically, he ends up peeking through a small opening in the door and the curtains on the back door. Obviously, he's wearing gloves, a mask, and has a couple of bags with him. Really not sure what's happening here, but obviously this is concerning for the resident that lives in this house, have somebody peeking in their door. Also, just before this incident, just a few minutes before, we also had another incident where someone matching this description attempted to break into a locked Chevy Equinox just like a couple blocks away on Balkan Avenue. So not too sure what this individual is doing out there. Kind of a quiet community out in that area, so maybe somebody saw something suspicious, maybe a vehicle in that area that didn't belong. Just anything that maybe somebody can kind of key us in on. Obviously, if you know who this person is, we would definitely like to know. Maybe some of the clothing will ring a bell or something.
So they walk up to the door and then they walk away. Did they see someone?
We're not really sure what stopped them. Just kind of curious and checking out to see if it was something that maybe the door was locked and they just checked to see if the door was locked. We don't really know the specifics of why they didn't do something else other than that. But obviously when you find something like that on your surveillance camera, maybe you get a notification on your phone or something that there's motion, and then you see that. It's concerning for anybody.
Yeah, so 73rd and Rokeby Road. That's kind of south?
Yep, way south.
Okay. And September 28th. Do you know about what time this happened?
It was in the early morning hours, so after midnight.
That's pretty freaky.
Yep.
That would really scare me, I think.
Yeah, and the fact that he's wearing a ski mask and really kind of covered up. Obviously, he's trying to hide his identity, so it just leads you to think he's probably up to something he shouldn't be doing. So.
And do you guys think there's a connection between that and the attempted stolen car?
Yep. Well, we don't know if he was stealing the car. He was just trying to get into a car that was locked.
Okay.
So it might have been just trying the door handles or something like that. But obviously the clothing matches, so it's probably the same individual. Yeah. And it's literally like 10 minutes before. Yeah. So very much is going to probably be that guy.
Yeah. You know, I hate to make fun of someone, but that really looks like Hamburglar is what that reminds me of. I don't know if that's appropriate to say, but I did think it was kind of funny.
I think Hamburger's... No, I guess that's Grimace's purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now I'm going to have to go look up Hamburger and
I know my McDonald's characters, Jared.
You were good at the Happy Meals. Got it.
Yeah, so if somebody knows anything about this person, if they've seen them before, maybe they saw them that night, what do?
Obviously, you can call us at the police department, 441-6000, or you can call Crime Stoppers. The number for that is 475-3600. You can go online to our LincolnCrimeStoppers.com website. You can see all these cases that we're talking about today and others, and that's a great place to go and fill out a form and leave a tip. Or, of course, if you have your cell phone and you want to do it all on your cell phone, there is an app called P3. Download that app, and then you can report it straight into us. And the nice thing about that is we can actually have a two-way conversation that is still anonymous, and that can sometimes lead us to be able to ask you maybe some pointed questions that might give us more information that you know that you didn't think was important to us.
Yeah, and you can always, the only way you'll get a tip is if you are using Crime Stoppers, if you are anonymous. Is that right?
The only way you get a reward, yes, is if you use Crime Stoppers, yes. So if you want a reward, you do have to report to Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm a little rusty. I can't think of the right word. The other case we have to talk about today, something we see all too often. Let's get into it. What are we looking at here?
So this is back a couple weeks ago. This is on September 20th at about 11:30 in the morning. You see this guy is kind of walking in front of the quick shop, and all of a sudden he just stops in his tracks, and he goes back and he gets into this white pickup truck. A little hard to see with some of the cross traffic, but this is the best camera we have a view of this right now. We are working on this. Hopefully we'll maybe get some better stuff eventually, but this is what we got. This guy just basically gets in the car, and he ends up backing out. This other vehicle obviously sees he's not stopping. He backs out in this truck. The victim comes running out, seeing that this guy's trying to drive off in his car, tries to stop him, but obviously doesn't. Eventually, what he ends up doing is he gets in this other pickup truck that's nearby, and they try to chase this vehicle down. The stolen pickup truck ends up losing him. So we're just kind of trying to hopefully find someone that can give us a good tip on this. This is the gas station basically right at 48th and Calvert Street. And they kind of ended up over by like 33rd Street is where they lost them. So We're just not too sure. It's not the best description of him, but maybe somebody just somehow rings a bell for them.
Yeah.
The vehicle was found the next day, and it's only about 7 blocks away. So maybe this individual is just walking from his house to that gas station, saw this truck running and grabbed it, and then drove it home, and then parked it by home somewhere. So maybe this individual lives in the area of 43rd and Cooper where we found that truck, maybe in a couple blocks from there. So we're just kind of hoping that somebody kind of keys on one of those little bits of information about that truck.
Yeah. And these are the pictures we have of the suspect. Not super clear, kind of grainy.
Yeah, and obviously, like we said, this is coming from clear across the street. So unfortunately, we just didn't have a better camera view of this one. But we do think this is important enough that when you have somebody just grabbing a truck like that and taking off, we want to make sure those get out and maybe give it a good tip. Because when it's not great video and we don't have a great image of the person, we really rely on someone else knowing something about the case. And maybe even if this isn't a great video or picture of this person, maybe just keys in on somebody that they can help us out with it.
Yeah, gosh, it's such a crime of opportunity, isn't it?
Very much so. And I'm not positive on this case whether the vehicle is running, but just based on the fact that he kind of is walking past it, stops, and comes right back, it appears to me this vehicle is probably running, and it was a spur-of-the-moment decision to take that truck. And we've seen a lot of this where, especially in the wintertime, people, I don't understand why people still do this in Lincoln, Nebraska. Unfortunately, we are pretty complacent about this at times, and they'll just leave their truck running while they go in and get a coffee. And unfortunately, that's just a great opportunity for somebody that wants to do wrong to just run in and steal your vehicle. There's just nothing you can do about it. Just like this individual, he had to chase him down, and it was just too late. The guy was gone. So
yeah, and it's just hard to watch, like watching him run after. And obviously, they went and chased after him in a separate truck. You probably don't recommend that.
I would not recommend that. I mean, I understand the drive to do it. I understand why people do it, and it just, unfortunately, when you have somebody that's doing this kind of crime, you just never know. We've had incidents where these people are armed, and you may end up getting into a confrontation with someone that can outpower you. And so maybe the best thing to do is just get as much information as you can, pass it on to us, and maybe we can get a hold of them. We have had some people follow vehicles at times. Again, not something we would recommend, but at least if you give us what direction they're going in that vehicle, it might be something the officers can then look for them.
Yeah. This is something, I mean, we hear about this kind of stuff almost weekly here. People are leaving their keys in their car.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. This last weekend, we had a really bad weekend with auto thefts. I believe you guys already talked about some of this stuff. We had 18 cars stolen over the weekend, and then we had 9 other attempts. Some of that was stuff that the vehicle was actually running, or they tried to break into a car that maybe they left their doors unlocked, but the keys were in the vehicle. But for the most part, a lot of those were Hyundai and Kia vehicles in the area of the 2011 to 2017. And unfortunately, there's just a little bit of a security weakness in those vehicles, and some people have figured that out thanks to like TikTok. And some of these juveniles have been doing this on a regular basis. I'm not saying that's what's happening on all these cases, but we have seen that as a trend. And so if you do have a Hyundai or a Kia, you do need to talk to a dealership about trying to secure that device in your vehicle so that it can't be stolen as easy as those ones are.
Yeah. Cole and I, my co-anchor, and I were joking the other day. I really have a hard time saying Hyundai. And every single week, I'm like, Cole, it's Hyundai, right? And he says, Madison, you ask me this every week. Because we are talking about this so frequently. It's become a little, kind of a joke between us.
Yep.
But, it's so preventable. Take your keys out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, honestly, this all falls down to what we would just basically call just a good way of being safe in your environment. And when it comes to your car, obviously just locking your vehicle is a huge one. I mean, as simple as that is, it just requires somebody to go that extra step to get into your car to take it. They have to either break a window or pop a lock or something. And a lot of times, most criminals, especially when you're talking like juveniles, they're not going to go that extra effort. If they can do it quickly, they just want to get in and out. They don't want to do the damaging type of things. You may have some of the more seasoned criminals that know how to break into a car quickly and actually cause that damage, but still get in and out quickly. But for the most part, what we're really seeing in Lincoln, from what I've seen, is these quick, like, people just aren't locking their cars; they're leaving their keys in it, or in this case, like the Hyundais and Kias, it's something that they know is a weakness, but it's something, again, as an owner, you can take effort to mitigate that. by contacting your dealer and seeing about how you can fix that, because I believe that's kind of a recall device, and I think that might even be paid for. And there are some programs out there maybe to get like steering wheel locks or just some other way to just kind of help secure that car one more step. Obviously, don't leave valuables in your car. When they look in your car and they see your iPad laying on the seat, it's like putting some bait on a hook. You're just inviting them to steal it. Don't leave weapons in your car. I know that some people will do that. It's just obviously in this day and age when we have people just breaking into cars and stealing them for joyrides, the last thing you want to do is also give them a weapon. So take those into your house and secure them if you're going to be inside your house. And then close your garage door. A lot of times we'll have people that are out and about and they just leave their garage door wide open, and those cars are just sitting there, and somebody will just walk right in the garage, because a lot of people don't lock their car in the garage. So if the door is open, you're kind of inviting them to come check your car out.
Yeah. For me, I am from a very, 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 very small town. So it is kind of second nature to not lock the car, to leave the garage door open. But when you're honestly anywhere, you should be doing that, no matter how safe you feel like your community is. Yeah.
And we're in Nebraska. I mean, we have good values overall, and we trust our neighbors for the most part, and especially if you're from a small town and then you move to Lincoln, crime is a little higher in Lincoln or Omaha than it is in a lot of your small towns. And so we get a lot of those people that come from small towns, they move here, and they're just doing daily life like they would back in Hebron, Nebraska, right? They just stop at the gas station, get a coffee, and go. It puts you at much more risk in Lincoln than it does in Hebron, Nebraska.
Yeah, I did some reporting in Thayer County, especially in Hebron, so I did stop at gas stations in Hebron pretty frequently.
Well, and I just picked that out at random. That was not the plug.
They're very safe. I probably would have left my car unlocked there, but not anymore. Let's run over these numbers again. If you know something about that video, the truck being stolen, where can you go?
Of course, like I said, call the police department, 441-6000. We definitely want that information for the police department. But if you want to remain anonymous or you want to get a reward for your tip, you do need to call Crime Stoppers, and that number is 402-475-3600. You can go on LincolnCrimeStoppers.com to fill out a form there, or, of course, the P3 app on your phone will give you all kinds of great options that you can even communicate with us on.
And, Jared, I just want to go over one more thing. You talked about you can leave a tip and be done.
Yep.
You can also leave a tip and have an option for an investigator to communicate with you. Is that correct?
Yes. So if you're using the P3 app, it gives you that opportunity. If you leave a tip online, it doesn't give you the opportunity to kind of have a messaging. And the reason is it's on the back end of this. Obviously, with Crime Stoppers, our goal is to keep you anonymous. We don't want your name to be put into this case in any way, and because that's the reason people are calling Crime Stoppers. A lot of times, it's not even at all about the money. They don't really even care about the reward.
Yeah.
They just want to make sure that the police get this information, and they're worried about, say, their neighbor being upset with them, or a family member finding out that they tipped on them. So that anonymity is really the key of Crime Stoppers. That's the whole reason it exists. And the cool thing about that P3 app is it does allow us to have a two-way communication, but what it's doing is it's wiping that information. The police department will never see any of that data. The Crime Stoppers program never sees any of that data. It's all completely scrubbed out of it. But the cool thing is we are able to kind of send messages back and forth still. So if you give us information and you're just shy of something that we needed to know, we might be able to say, hey, what do you know about this? Or tell me more about this part of it. And then you can fill that in, and that might give us something that we can really work with and make a case.
Yeah. All right, Jared, thank you for joining us. Is there anything else you want to cover while we're here?
No, just please lock your doors.
No.
Please lock your doors in your cars right now.
Kidding.
A lot of this stuff is stuff that could have been prevented. So
yeah, lock your house doors, lock your car doors.
Absolutely.
All right, Jared, thank you. And thank you